Well, hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz,
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to Retired.
the podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure.
So, right now, listeners, Sue and I ended our show and we started talking about retirement because it's a very big, pressing thing on myself, having quit teaching a little too soon and being a stay-at-home mom for 12 years is really impacting things now. And I'm thinking about healthcare and the just the whole layout of what it means. So I just wanted to share how when you were raised, as we are in the United States, where we hear about retirement, investing, and then you come and you meet someone who comes from a communist country where you own your home, there's never a tax. So you have your home and that's it. There's nothing more to it. That is your home until you die and there's no one else to give it to. It's your home. And here I'm learning, we always will have to pay taxes. And if we don't, and for those of you that don't know, there are people that will then buy the taxes that you haven't purchased. And if you don't pay them back, then you lose your house and it goes to the person who purchased your taxes. And there's a big business in this. So what you just said now was the teachers may be able to get Social Security in addition to the teacher retirement. And I think what COVID taught me and what this teaches me too, we just cannot predict the future, can we? What we think is going to be one way for always is not. And it can work both to the detriment, but also to the benefit. I just find this whole concept of retirement a fascinating place. And it's interesting that this is the whole entire podcast that you brainstormed as a theme, because it really does apply to both of us.
In different
So
ways, yeah.
in completely different
Yeah.
ways.
It's the idea of living in the now to the point where you're not planning for the future is very it's not very much what our culture, the United States culture does. And um it kind of goes back to a time when in a place where if you've got family and your
Mhm.
family has some land, some place to live, doesn't even mean they're landed and in the proper sense, but you've got your family will take care of you. They'll take you in. You got some little corner over there that's yours, and there's kind of an assumptions of yeah, everyone lives here. I mean, if you think back, and that's how it is, and it's very different than living in our culture's idea of what that looks like. So you take people off who retire, someone like, say, a teacher, and they have their pension. Um, it is, and at least in California and in many parts of the United States, it's not enough to live on. I
No.
mean, and the assumption is you've paid for your house or a place
Yep.
that you will live. But then, like you say, there's the taxes. There may be the community fees if you live in a place that requires that. And then not even to speak of healthcare and so forth. Each of these things can be
And
what
let's say
puts you under. Yeah,
insuring your
insurance.
home.
Yep, all the
So I'm
insurance. Yeah.
spending $3,500 a year for incidentals and fire insurance a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now throw in my taxes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. And I bought low. People that bought high will always have to face even a higher. And I'm really understanding how taxes bump up. Every year there's like another fee, or you need to redo the sewer lines for the city. So you spend that much more. So again, I'm understanding as I enter into this world that your set fixed income that will never change, there's no cost of living adjustments in your retirement.
There are.
Oh, there are?
Yeah, but it's only like 2 or 3% per year. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's something. That's good.
Which
As my taxes go up by 2 to 3% every year.
right, but here's the other thing is that why didn't they do that for us while we were working? just to, instead of having to negotiate and fight for a basic cost of living. It's, 2 or 3% doesn't even cover cost of living in California. They are, they wouldn't do that, and it's obscene. So every year that you're moving forward, you're actually earning less until you get a little bump, and it doesn't make up for what you've lost or what you. So it's a tough job. And then the fact that you're only working 184 days or whatever it is, you don't get paid vacation, you don't get paid holidays. People don't really grasp that. So that's a tough one. And so, no, this new bill that was signed into law by President Biden today or yesterday expands Social Security benefits for millions of retired Americans, including firefighters, police officers, and teachers.
Wow.
Um, he said, Americans who have worked hard all their life to make an honest living should be able to retire with economic security and dignity.
Yeah.
Um, it's this Social Security Fairness Act. It would increase an average monthly, make an average monthly increase of $360 for more than 2.5 million Social Security recipients. That's a big deal in middle class households like the one
Huge.
yeah. So, the beneficiaries would also receive a lump sum in the thousands of dollars to make up for the shortfall of benefits they would have received in 2024. It eliminates two federal policies that barred employees with public pension from collecting their full benefits under the federal retirement program, and that reduced benefits for those workers surviving spouses and family members. So that was part of it too, is being married. If your spouse dies, you don't get their benefit because you were a teacher. Okay, so now if your spouse dies, you can get your spouse's Social Security benefit, whichever one's higher. That's how it works.
Hmm. Wow.
Biden's the first, he's trying to make his legacy here. First president in more than 20 years to expand Social Security benefits. The bill is, and by the way, a lot of this goes back to President Jimmy Carter,
I
who died
love that
recently.
man.
Yes, absolutely. My flag is flying at half mast and shall until,
Oh.
yeah. So it passed December, in the Senate, um, 76-20.
Wow,
And
that's impressive.
it is. And because, well, Trump wants it too. So it's interesting. So anyhow,
Huh.
that's that's the deal.
One thing you touched on that I want to bring up and why I'm so pro union, especially in the teacher environment. And it's funny that we both ended up like being a part of the union. Like that's the thing I would want to sign up to do and always had. And my parents, ironically, used to make fun of me. Oh, there's our little politician. And I saw the union so beneficial multiple times in my life. But what I'd like to point out is because we lived in a wealthy community, we didn't get the top-notch pay, even though it doesn't make sense. If you live in a wealthy community, you would think you would get paid better, but we didn't
No,
compared to the surrounding areas, and that's because most of the teachers were married to someone who did make a lot of money, whether it be a doctor, a business owner.
they worked
They
at the
had,
university or they worked for the at the state capitol.
so they had better benefits often, which is why we kept wanting to get better benefits, but we couldn't because there weren't enough people in our community to bring the base cost down because so many people
Mhm.
in the teaching profession relied on their spouses because it was so superior than what they could offer in the district. And again, I just want to point out to other people, if you hear this and you're still in the teaching world, to really think about where you're living and the importance of fighting for your income, because now that's part of the problem of me retiring. Even though I put in 19 years, which still isn't enough, but of those 19 years I was paid so low living in our town where it paid low that it I don't that's my maximum year out,
Yep.
is at a way below everywhere else. So if I had been where I live now, where they paid $15,000 more per year, even though it's the same amount of education and years of experience, they paid so much more here. Had I lived here, my retirement actually would have been higher, even though the cost of living where I am now is so much lower.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Yep. Well, it's because it goes back to the idea of, like you just said, most of it was the assumption that, it's a woman's job, a woman's
Yes.
salary, and it was secondary. It wasn't important. It was kind
That
of
was
like
fluff.
it was
It's
fluff. It was for
fluff.
fun. It was something to keep her little
A
mind
hobby.
busy, a hobby to keep her little mind busy. Yes, and we all know that's not the case.
No,
And
it's one of the most stressful jobs in the world.
and I'll tell you, the tide is changing here. Even as I was leaving, and that's been, since 2020 now. Tides were changing. The demographic of who a teacher is in our town has changed quite a bit. And the young people, it may be male or female, and they may be the breadwinner of the family. And it's a tough, tough road. It's always was a tough road. And that's why it's been hard to attract and retain teachers in our area, because
They had
there
nowhere to live.
you can't afford to live.
You
There's
can't
nowhere
afford to live there.
and you can't find it. And then you're so severely underpaid, and your your health care and everything. It's quite difficult. So, yeah, it's a tough retirement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this bonus episode
Of retirement. Ride shotgun and be a part of our adventure by clicking on the plus sign to subscribe and follow our show. This will help our ratings and, more importantly, inspire us to keep creating fun and engaging content. We would love to hear from you in the comments sections, or email us at retiredpodcastnewtred@gmail.com. Use the fast track lane by sharing episodes with friends, family, and anyone who would like to join us on our road trip through retirement.
Retired is chauffeured by Sue Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. It is produced, directed, and edited by me, Sue Britz. Music and graphics are by me, too. Buckle up and tune in next week so that you won't miss your chance to
Join our retired road trip.